Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. It's yours truly, Kathleen Wells, your host. I'm glad you joined me this evening. So let's see, Monday is a federal holiday. So I want to say it's President's Day. So I want to say Happy President's Day. And I think Fox News is going to be airing a series or docudrama on George Washington. That's interesting. Yeah. I'll probably watch it. Also, my favorite president is Abraham Lincoln. And in fact, I was listening to that 700-word speech. It's Lincoln's second inaugural address. I've discussed this before, I guess maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Tom Girardi had a guest who was reading it, who read it, the entire 700 words. Yes, it's important, I think. But he's my favorite president. Why? Because he explicitly stated in that speech that slavery was the cause for the Civil War. And yet, liberals, the left, historians consistently, you hear this in school and college, they've consistently said that slavery was not the cause for the war. But he explicitly stated in the speech. In fact, let me read that part if I can bring it up real quick. I have it on my phone. Here it is. 1/8 of the whole population were colored slaves, not distributed generally over the Union, but localized in the southern part of it. These slaves constituted a peculiar and powerful interest. All knew that this interest was somehow the cause of the war. This is Lincoln's own words. He would know better than historians some 250 years later, right? Revisiting history, revising history. And that's been a big problem. That's been a big problem. Democrats, the left is consistently revising history. They're consistently revising or redefining terms. For instance, an illegal alien is an immigrant now. That wasn't the way it was before. Just a few years before. We used the term illegal alien. Now they're undocumented workers or they're illegal immigrants. But the definition of an immigrant is someone who is not subject to deportation. But that has changed too, you see, because I looked up the definition and they changed the definition. How are definitions derived? Definitions are derived by common usage, how something is commonly used. And who determines how something is commonly used? The media, because they keep saying it. And politicians, actually, Democrat politicians, because Democrat politicians keep saying it and then the media picks it up and says it too. And they just keep saying it for years. That's it. So now illegal aliens are illegal immigrants. An illegal alien is an immigrant. But we know that the definition of an immigrant used to be someone who was not subject to deportation. Another phrase or term is this people of color business, okay? And this misuse of words and terms is keeping the American people in a fog. Many, not all, but keeping them confused. So Black Americans are now in the bag of people of color. We have been officially placed in that bag. I cannot tell you how many times I hear people say it. All the talking heads and pundits in the media. You see, the media has a grave influence, has a vast, and it's broad because it goes everywhere. It's powerful. It's a powerful tool, which Bloomberg is buying up ads in so that he becomes relevant. But the media is the problem. You know, you guys know I have a T-shirt that says that. Go to my website, the Naked Truth Report.com, and pick up one of those T-shirts. You can scroll down, you can click on the link that says Naked Truth Report swag or something like that. The media is the problem. The media is the problem because they have to fill the airways. And I'm sure that it's changed dramatically. But I know the media has always been the problem because I can recall other people saying that. Like Will Rogers or someone like that. I remember it being mentioned before. The media, because they mischaracterize, they shape the narrative, they keep it simple. They don't dig deep. Because, example, they keep saying that the issue with Bloomberg, they don't critically get into the issues. This morning on Washington Journal, they were talking about the fact that Bloomberg is being criticized for his stance or his implementing or continuing stop and frisk. But the issue is not stop and frisk. The issue is the way that he expressed his approval of that policy, the way in which he did it, his tone, his attitude, the way in which he expressed his approval for the policy of stop and frisk is what was problematic, because he expressed it with disdain and disregard for and lumping young Black male teens in New York, all of them, into one category, without going to the root cause as to why Black male teens are resorting to crime. Why? Why do we never discuss that? Why do we never discuss that? Poverty leads to crime and fatherless homes. Why are so many Black men fatherless? Why are Black Americans, despite 6 decades of voting Democrat, in poverty? A third, I think it's 33%, and then another 30% are a paycheck away from poverty. So that's 63%. That's 2/3 of Black Americans. Two-thirds of Black Americans are either in poverty or a paycheck away from poverty. Why is that? Despite voting Democrat for 6 decades, despite being in the country for 460 years. That's another thing I wanted to talk about is this. I think folks' interest should be directly proportional to how long their ancestors have been in the country. Do you understand? Who has a larger investment in America should be dependent upon or contingent upon how long their ancestors were in the country. We all know Black Americans have been in the country since its founding. So why are 2/3 of us today in 2020 either in poverty or a paycheck away from poverty? That's a problem, folks. That's a problem. After being in the country so many hundreds of years, that's the predicament Black Americans are in. And so therefore, what do we conclude? This is what I've realized about people who continue to vote Democrat. You guys know I watch Washington Journal most mornings, and Sebastian Gorka was on. And he, naturally he was being criticized by Democrats. That showed Washington Journal, really, the way they shape the questions is too simplistic. It's not critical enough. And I'm beginning to not like it because it's always like Democrats hate Trump and Republicans don't. I don't care what the issue is. It's just like it's like, that Democrats, no matter whatever the issue is that they're addressing, no matter what the issue is, Democrats will call in and say Trump is wrong, they hate him, he's crazy. No matter what the issue is, he's never right. And Republicans will agree. Well, I've had enough of watching it. It's like boring because you can predict the outcome. you know what's going to happen. You keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's become boring now to me. I don't even want to watch it anymore. But I watch it basically to have information to talk about on my radio show. I want to stay informed and so on and so forth. So one of the things that Sebastian Gorka said to one of the Democrat callers that were criticizing him and calling him Satan was that it's results that matter, not style. That's a good T-shirt too, I think. I'd like to make that one. It's results that matter, not style. Democrats are always on Washington Journal. Washington Journal is a great way to see how some folks, I'm sure they don't reflect the majority of folks, of course not, but they reflect some folks, just like Twitter reflects some folks. I think Twitter reflects a very small percentage of folks, but Washington Journal gives you a sense of how some people are feeling about the policies or the ideas or the political landscape. But basically what it comes down to is that Democrats talk about people, they talk about Trump. Everything that he does is wrong. And then Republicans are like, they like him, That's just, you can predict it. It's like every single show is like that. And the issues are always shaped incorrectly, if you know what I mean. They don't shape the question or the query or the issue that is being addressed. They don't shape it properly. It's always shaped where you either hate Trump or you don't hate Trump. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, Trump is terrible. It was wrong. He's bad. He's the devil. Or, yes, I agree with it. Every single show is like that. And it's becoming boring because we know the outcome already, right? We know what people are going to say. The good news is this. I think that the White House is going to be sending an elite task force of ICE officers to 10 U.S. cities. And of course, naturally, it's going to include Los Angeles and San Francisco. Because Los Angeles, California has more illegal aliens than any other. Los Angeles has more illegal aliens than any other city. Or California has more illegal aliens than any other state. And if another state has more illegal aliens than California, it would be Texas. But I think California is either the number one or number two position of having the most. We're right up there. So this elite squad is going to be of elite ICE agents will be coming to Los Angeles and San Francisco to deal with illegal aliens. So naturally, Garcetti was on in the media informing illegal aliens that they don't have to comply with ICE. It's not necessary. Don't open the door. I think that's something that he said. You don't have to open the door. You don't have to answer any questions. You have rights. So that's that. Oh, I wanted to title this show The Double Standard. Did I mention it yet? I don't think I did. The Double Standards and Hypocrisy of the Democratic Party and Democrat Voters. That's the title of today's show. And I'm now going to get into why I'll give a few examples as to why the Democratic Party and Democrat voters are hypocritical and embrace double standards. Well, what's the main one? The main one today is what? Bloomberg entering the race. Democrat voters have complained, and Democrat politicians have complained forever about the inappropriateness of big money in politics. In fact, that's what Elizabeth Warren, that's one of the things that she's anchored her candidacy on. In fact, that's what many of the Democrat contenders for president anchored their bid for president on, the fact that dark money, big money, should not be in politics. You got to get big dark money out of politics. So now what do we have? Bloomberg spending, I think they said the figure was like $500 million. That's $500 million to buy the election, to buy ads, okay, to make him a contender now, to make him someone to be taken seriously. Listen, Deval Patrick got in and got out real quick, right? And Marianne Williamson, what happened to her? Who knows? She was bringing up reparations. They said, oh, we got to get rid of this woman real quick. We can't even mention her anymore. It's the media now that has made Bloomberg relevant. And the fact that he's spending so much money on ads that you see basically on the East Coast and in social media, because we don't see ads here so much in California. I haven't seen one. I don't recall. I may have, but only a few, few and far between. But so Bloomberg is now a contender. Oh, and the other thing that the Drudge Report brought up was that Bloomberg is now, he is possibly considering Hillary to be his running mate. They may have just thrown that out there, but that's interesting. But the main issue is that it's hypocritical and double standards, because, Democrats run on the idea that dark money, big money should not be in politics. That's the main thing. Also, we hear about all of this. The Me Too generation should be anti-Bloomberg. There's more that's going to come out, but we've heard other things. We've heard so far things like his workplace is oppressive to women. He said inappropriate things, something like he told a woman to go get an abortion. She said, kill it. Well, so, we get the notion, the idea that the way Bloomberg talks is sort of brash and sort of inappropriate. And I guess that could be said about Trump. But we like Trump and we get Trump. But I don't get Bloomberg, because Bloomberg, he spent 3 terms as mayor of New York City. So are Black Americans doing well in New York City after Bloomberg's 3-term run as mayor of the city? Crime had gone down, but have the state of affairs of Black Americans in New York City, did it improve during Bloomberg's stint as mayor for 3 terms? Did it improve? Well, I tend to think not, because we all know that Black Americans are facing zero median wealth by 2053. But also, I say that all the time because it's true. We've read that data point before. We've read about that. But Black Americans, I don't think most can't afford to live in New York City proper, in Manhattan. I don't think so. So what is the story? That is the double standard. The Me Too generation should be very disappointed with Bloomberg, because I think he has a book out about a term like the words of wisdom or something like that. Words of wisdom of Bloomberg. And it's all, the rumor has it, I haven't read it, the rumor is that much of it is filled with inappropriate expressions and memes and thoughts and ideas. Inappropriate. Who else is inappropriate? Amy Klobuchar, who came in third during the New Hampshire primary. She came in third. That the media said she's the one that won the New Hampshire primary by coming in third. But I read today that Amy Klobuchar takes the position that English should not be the official language of America. Okay, so what does that mean? That wasn't her position, before, but now she takes that position. Why? Because she's pandering for Latino votes. Now, we in Los Angeles know that if you have folks who can't speak the language, They're going to be balkanized. They're not going to be embraced in the fabric of America. They're going to be separate and apart. And one of the things that Lincoln talked about in his speech that he gave during his second inaugural, one of the things he talked about was the necessity for Americans to be as one, to come together after the Civil War as one, North and South. We are all Americans. And yet, Amy Klobuchar says that, English doesn't have to be the official language. So you're going to have some Americans speaking Spanish and other Americans not speaking Spanish, right? How's that going to be? We know how that is in Los Angeles. Americans resent people who don't speak the language. The language, immigrants that came at the turn of the century, in the early 1900s, had to learn English, desired to learn English, wanted to learn English. They wanted to be they wanted to be Americans. And one of the things that makes one be an American is embracing the language. And yet now, look where we are. And this is why you see, did you notice that during the Democrat debates, frequently they would speak, and some of the candidates would speak in Spanish. Cory Booker, I remember he did. Who else? I think, who else? Well, there were quite a few of them did, actually. Anyway, there's my music. I'm going to open up the phone lines at the half an hour. I think this is a very apt song, A Ball of Confusion, because the Democrats are a mess. They're nothing but double standards and hypocrisy. And folks who can't see through it aren't paying attention. This is Kathleen Wells, the host of the Naked Truth Report. We're taking a break, and we'll be right back.
Integration, aggravation, diminishing, obligation to my nation.
All the confusion. That's what the world is today. Yeah. Welcome back to the Naked Truth Report. Hey, our politics is a ball of confusion, or at least the Democratic Party or the Democratic contender. The Democratic Party and Democratic voters are a ball of confusion. That's what I say. An example of that is what? So the Congressional Black Caucus come out and endorse Bloomberg, despite the fact that he had this. You see, Democrats call everything racist and sexist. Everything Trump does is racist. Everything that the Republican Party does is racist. Everything, Trump talking about grabbing them by the whatever, I can't remember the expression, was sexist. Now, we don't even know. This was something that Trump said. We don't even know if it was true. It was years ago, but it was something he said. You don't necessarily say something that, you literally did. It was sort of like people took it. We don't know one way or the other. So you can't say definitively if he did that. He said it so, like locker room talk, that kind of thing. But we heard what Bloomberg said. Oh, well, we heard what Trump said too. But anyway, the issue is this, that we have women coming out saying that Bloomberg did this, that, and the other, that the workplace was oppressive. Okay. And this is in court documents. Well, I guess the left will say, well, yeah, women made accusations against Trump, but I don't think there are any court documents. No women have won in a lawsuit against Trump, have they? For sexual harassment or anything like that. This is the thing. Bloomberg has sealed confidential agreements with women. Why is the question? Are you hiding something? So Bloomberg can be called a sexist. If Trump can be called a sexist and a racist, can't Bloomberg too? That's the way it put. If you can call Trump a racist and a sexist, can't you call Bloomberg a racist and a sexist too? So, yet the Congressional Black Caucus has come out and endorsed the man. So basically, the Congressional Black Caucus is endorsing a racist and a sexist. So since the Congressional Black Caucus have endorsed him, now Black voters, they realize, Black Democrat voters realize, well, Biden's not going to make it. So we're going to go with, since Biden isn't going to make it, we're going to go with Bloomberg because the Congressional Black Caucus endorsed him. That's how that works. And that's like not thinking at all. You're not thinking through the policies. And this is the thing that you realize when you listen to the Washington Journal. It's very stark how Democrat callers, all they do is talk about people. They just talk about people. They talk about Trump. That's all they do. And we know that people that talk about people are the least knowledgeable and intelligent. Republican callers call into Washington Journal and they talk about the issues. People who talk about issues are more intelligent. And then the other, I think the expression is, and people who talk about ideas are like brilliant, right? So Democrats call in and talk about people. These are the least intelligent and knowledgeable people, because that's like grade school. That's like high school gossip or something. And then Republicans call into Washington Journal and talk about the issues. We're concerned, like Gorka said, results matter. Results matter over style. Because Democrat callers always call in and complain about Trump tweeting as evidence of something. They don't recognize that Trump has changed the landscape for the president. He's changed things. It's different now. And Trump supporters like the difference. Why? Because politicians have been fleecing America and Americans for decades. They've been lying for decades. They're no good. They're corrupt. They're crooked. They're cheats, right? We know this. Anyway, why don't I take a call? Hi, Brent. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hello, Kathleen. I'm so excited, or actually, I'm so stimulated by so many of the ideas you've brought up tonight. You always bring a lot of things to mind.
Thank you.
Well, the first is you were talking about Lincoln's second inaugural. It's an absolutely amazing document, which I'm sure Los Angeles Unified School District, for them, it's an illegal document.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a beautiful document, and that's something that children should study and understand and read, right?
Not only study and understand, it's a godly document, and that's why it would be outlawed. Lincoln speaks like a pastor, a minister, a rabbi. It's phenomenal. And the power, there's so many powerful lines in it. If you want, since you brought it up, I was just going over it. If you want me to
go ahead.
Sentence or two.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, people, go. It's easy to find. It's inscrawled on the Lincoln Memorial. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, but near the end, Lincoln has a prayer, and he says, "Fervently do we pray that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet if God wills that it continue until all the wealth piled by the bondsman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword, as was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether."
Yeah, that's a beautiful phrase. That's a beautiful part right there. What he's saying is that the sin of slavery, if it's God's will to destroy America, that's God's will.
Yes, he saw the hand of God. He saw everything. These fools, these liars who say it had nothing to do with slavery. It had everything to do with slavery.
He explicitly say it's the cause of the Civil War. But you have all these folks now. Oh no, the Civil War. Lincoln was a. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't stand these people. Go ahead.
Yeah, and also you were bringing up definitions, and I think just at the end, I was thinking Congressional Black Caucus. This is unbelievable. Why don't they just rename it the Congressional Black Afro-American Negro People of Color Caucus? How insane is this? Also, when we use the word progressive today, we used to call what they're calling a progressive today, we used to always call a predator. Also, democratic socialism, that simply means democratic slavery. And so we really have to be so careful with their words and their deceptions in those words. And a couple other words I wanted to bring up relative to Kobe Bryant. We're having a problem with the definition of what it is to be a man and to be a father. And I was thinking, I want to have a memorial to Kobe that has nothing to do with sports, nothing to do with basketball, nothing to do with the Lakers. I want to have a memorial to him as a great American father and a father to his daughters in a time where so many, we talk about sons, but daughters need to have a father.
I agree with you. I saw the documentary on cable. I think it was Showtime or HBO with Kobe Bryant. I'm not a basketball follower, so I didn't know his career, but I really appreciated that documentary. I got to see him in a way that I had never seen him before. He seemed very thoughtful man, very insightful and contemplative, that he thought about things seriously. So yeah, I think I gained a better understanding of why people loved him.
Well, like you, I'm not a sports fan, and I've never followed this, and I never cared. But when I saw, unfortunately, upon his death and the death of his daughter, this terrible tragedy, is that it seems like he was such a fine father. And I think that's an even bigger achievement than his basketball career.
It's important. Fathers are necessary. I talk about that. Oh, guys, don't forget to check out my interview with the Epic Times. It's on my YouTube channel, Naked Truth Report YouTube channel, Epic Times, or you can go to the Epic Times. They're California insider. Yeah, I'm a California insider, folks. So I talk about the necessity. I think me and Larry Elder and I, rather, are the only black folks who talk about the necessity for fathers. Because, we have black YouTubers on that have some popularity. They have a lot of listeners. They never talk about the necessity for the Black American family and the necessity for fathers.
Well, Candace Owens also brings it up, but Barack Obama also brought it up. He gave it lip service.
I remember he briefly talked about that. Yeah, I remember him mentioning it. It's so important. Fathers are necessary.
Yeah.
And this is why you have crime. This goes back to what Bloomberg was talking about with stop and frisk. Why young black men, teenagers, 16 to 24 or whatever age cohort he was talking about, are violent, are into crime because they don't have daddies, okay? And why don't they have daddies? Because of free sex feminism that said, women can have sex with whoever they want to, whenever they want, because they're equal to men. So women can be sexually aggressive with men. And therefore you end up, and this has been going on for decades because it started like in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. Women can have sex with whoever they want to have sex with, and you can get an abortion if you want to. And a lot of women end up having sex with guys and end up having babies without getting commitment of marriage from the man. That's why now you have 25% of Black Americans are two-parent families. 75% are single-headed. That's stressful on women. So the feminist movement has really did a disfavor to women because they made them stressed out, where you don't have a father, a husband for your children. And your children aren't getting the influence of a man, of a father. That's important.
Yeah. And you talk about the word feminism. That's another word. These are not feminists. The original feminism of equal rights, certainly we all agree with that. But this new movement, this is a misogynistic, neo-fascist feminism. And so we have to be aware. All their words are lies and deceptions.
Oh yeah, toxic masculinity. Masculinity cannot be toxic. They make up these words. Masculinity is a good thing.
Yes, and also what it is everything that's toxic. If it's toxically from a masculine point of view, it's also toxic from a feminine point of view. So we need to talk about toxic femininity.
Right, exactly. Toxic femininity is calling men toxic males. You know?
Not believing in marriage.
Right, not believing in marriage. Marriage is the most important thing. I've just had it, and Hollywood is the main culprit, and the media, because they're shaping ideas and the culture and the minds of young people. Okay, Brett, thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
Okay, now I'll take, hi Linda in Burbank. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hi, last Monday morning, I heard on Fox News, I heard them read Trump's budget, and it was supposed to be for the border wall, and I heard them as other talk show hosts, read it, and it was like they painted it with a broad brush. They didn't go into specifics. I'm disabled. One of the things that they said was going to be cut was government disability. I believe they said Medicaid. I believe they said Medicare. Now, if there are going to be any cuts to any of these, especially the government disabilities and any of them, do away with all the bi and multilingual. Make everything English only. Not knowing English is not a disability.
Well, you see, Amy Klobuchar has come out and said that she's against.
Oh yeah, I heard you say that.
Right.
And do away with interpreters for foreign languages.
Mm-hmm.
Make presidents of the other countries pay for what their citizens collected here. Cut off anchor babies, no matter how old they are, even if they're grown up. Just cut them off. I've cut off the illegal aliens. Have ICE go to voting centers where they have all the voting stuff in different languages.
Mm-hmm. I'm Googling right now how many languages are spoke in the Los Angeles public schools. I remember, English is the most regularly spoken language in the United States, but there are 224 other languages that are spoken in Los Angeles. 224 other languages that are spoken in Los Angeles. 224. Can you imagine?
These languages, whether in Los Angeles or anywhere, that is what Trump should cut, along with the other stuff I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Here's an article. More than half of Los Angeles speaks a language other than English at home.
When my grandmother was old enough to collect Social Security, they didn't have anything for her in her language. So how did she get her Social Security? My mother did the paperwork for her.
Mm-hmm. I want to see how many languages. Oh, here it is in the Los Angeles school district. In Los Angeles, in all, 92 languages other than English are 92.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
92 languages are spoken other than English in the Los Angeles school district. And guess what? Our schools are at the bottom. I mean, what 92 languages? What would those be? I know Tagalog. Can we name all 92? I'm kidding.
And a better thing Trump can do for like Los Angeles and California, if he sends any money, for any, government funding, send papers with English only.
Look, I just Googled this. This is the data. The ethnic composition of the Los Angeles Unified School District student population is 73.4% Latino, 10% Black, 8.8% white, 3.9% Asian, 2.2% Filipino, 0.04 Pacific Islander, 0.04 American Indian, and 2 or more races not Latino, 1%.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the primary languages are Spanish, 93.4%, Korean, 1.1%, Armenian, 1.1%, Tagalog, Cantonese, Arabic, Vietnamese, and Russian, each accounting for less than 1%.
That's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And another thing.
What?
They should cut. Another group of people they should cut.
What?
Are the alcoholics and drug addicts. They let alcoholics and drug addicts on government disability. Back in the 90s, I used to know a couple of alcoholics and drug addicts. When they stopped drinking, they stopped taking drugs by going to AA.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody in AA found them a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
I guess someone in the program, and found them a job.
Right. I saw homeless folks in Mid-Wilshire. Let's see, Mary, you guys know Mid-Wilshire. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, when Bullocks Wilshire was there. We used to go to Bullocks Wilshire. And so I saw homeless tents on Mariposa off of Wilshire, between Wilshire and 6th, and also on New Hampshire. Tents. Okay. Mid-Wilshire used to be a nice area. And then I saw homeless tents on Venice Boulevard also. Okay, Linda, thanks for calling in. Let me take a call now from, I have 90 seconds. Call next week, folks. We only have 90 seconds, so I'm going to talk. I was going to take the next call. Sorry, let's call next week. So I'm going to talk for the next 90 seconds. Let's go over that list again. Can I bring it up? Of the percentage of the Los Angeles School District. I want to bring it up. So these are the language. What was it I said? 92 different languages speaking, 93 different languages speaking at the Los Angeles Unified School District. The primary languages are Spanish, Korean is 1.1%, Armenian 1.1%, Tagalog, Cantonese, Arabic, Vietnamese, and Russian account for less than 1%. There's my music. I'll see you next week. Next week will be what date? We'll still be in February. We will have had the primary, or it's a hybrid in Nevada, primary and caucus. We'll discuss that. See you next week. Thanks for listening.